Okay, so those of you who have never seen inside of a hard drive, this will be a fun little opportunity for you. Here I have a ancient 40 gig IDE hard drive, so not too far back. The date on here is 2008, 4th of August 2008. For anybody who has a Western Digital drive, something nice about Western Digital that I like a lot is you can take the serial number and throw it in on their website, check for RMA, and 9 times out of 10, if the drive dies, it's probably still in warranty. They have the best RMA program on the planet, in my opinion. They'll take pretty much everything back. You can run a diagnostic utility for free from Western Digital. It'll tell you if the drive has failed. This is obviously way out of warranty, but whenever I have them die in warranty, you run the diagnostic. It gives you back a diagnostic code, send it in, and within a certain amount of time they give you a, obviously, recertified drive back, which I haven't had any problem with. But I've got my handy little Torx screwdriver here. We'll pull the top off. I'll show you what this looks like on the inside. Circuit board here on bottom. Sometimes with drive failure, too, you can tell you'll have ticking noises, like a tick, 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 definitely broken. If you smell back here, if it actually fries out back here due to nasty power supply or whatever, possibly even motherboard failure, you'll smell burn on the board sometimes. Sometimes you don't get so lucky. Sometimes the drive just doesn't work. These don't die too often. This one actually still works, but it's so small it's worthless to me. So we're going to disassemble it, and I will show you the inside of a hard drive and some cool things. Something I forget a lot of times. If you've never taken one of these apart before, underneath the label, above the seek arm, so here is where the disc is, inside this little circle deal, and back here is where the arm is with the heads on it. Above the arm, there's usually a screw, and you can usually feel on the label, and you can find that, and if you take something sharp, you can usually just, see, pierce right through it, and right there is your, and of course, by the way, don't ever do this on a drive you want to keep unless you, there are some videos that'll show you how. You can take these apart without killing them. They won't last a lot longer after you do, but if you need to do data recovery, there are quite a few videos showing you how to reassemble hard drives in a manner that will not damage the data very much. With hard drives, it's not a question of if they'll fail, it's a question of when. They're all going to die, so stay the inside. Okay, so here's our drive. I've undone all the screws. The other one actually happened to be right there, just a little bit to the left. There's a hole there, but no screw. So we're going to take this cap off now, and I've got a cool little tool that makes this very easy for popping the vacuum, because it is hermetically sealed and quite tight for the first time. Trying to use one hand is also very complicated. I'll get a good grip on it here. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, there we go. Missed one. I don't know how I missed it, but yeah, there's also one sometimes over the discs. So, over the platters. Pull off the cover, and ta-da-da! Look how clean that is. Now, sorry, you probably want to look at that. See, look how nice that is. Now, look at this for a second. See this? This is actually a filter. Because the unit is sealed, and you see this breather hole, and it usually says do not cover somewhere on the case there, telling you not to cover that hole. Pretend you take this on an airplane or something. If the pressure dropped exponentially, then you would have a leak around the gasket, potentially causing it to pull air in. So what they do is they put that little breather in there, and it goes through the filter, and it's always been explained to me, it just keeps the pressure from getting too, the pressure difference from getting too great in the drive. Basic components you have here. Wow, it's a nice mirrory surface. You've got the hard drive here. So this is the actual set of platters, and then you've got the seek arm here, and the heads sit on the end of these little sticks, and those heads are, when the disk is running, floating just above the surface, and just because the amount of airflow holds them just barely above. Now, this is why it's very important when you have a laptop or something that it have accelerometers or sensors to prevent it, because a quick jolt or bump like this will pop those heads into the surface and could actually crash the disk, because all it takes is it hitting and skipping along once, and it can actually damage the disk surface, which is very bad. Back here, you have huge magnets facing each other, and there's like a voice coil, and I'll show you that in just a second, that controls the seek arm's movements. And those, oh, here, my friends always joke about these. We call these cocaine packets. It's a joke, but these are little filters. And you can also inspect these. These are actually in the disk, so it acts kind of like a, if you're into Nikola Tesla, it was kind of like a Tesla turbine. The air pumps around as the disk spins, comes back around this direction, and goes through this filter. So if there are any contaminants in there, they get caught in this little deal. And sometimes, if the head is crashed quite badly, maybe even on the underside where you can't see it when you immediately open, you can check this packet and or filter, and you'll see little chunks of metal in it. It's not very often though. And this flexible ribbon cable hooks to the boards below and goes to the coil and the end of the heads. And I'm going to start disassembling this, and also I'm going to pull off the circuit board on bottom and show you how exactly this little airtight chamber interfaces with the circuit board. Okay, so we've undone all the screws on the circuit board, and we're just going to give it a little gentle pop here. The reason it's real tight is because there's an adhesive thermal conductor down here. That pad actually carries away heat. It doesn't look like it does, but it has a thermally conductive property, so it sets here and it helps conduct heat away from the circuit board and cool it off. Not really much to see there. It's kind of boring. Okay. This is the circuit board, and you can see, if you look here, these connectors touch the little servo bit here that runs the platters. That is it's right there. And let's see where that's at here. Usually you can find the, okay, there. See these? These are like contact pins. They're actually spring-loaded. So as this board sets on here, there's these little beds, and the contact pins push up on those little conductive beds, and this is entirely airtight, and that's how you have the gasketed connection into the chamber there. So we're going to pull that apart, and I'll show you what it actually looks like inside this deal. Now, it's kind of funny because I remember if you've ever dealt with the people who've had their A+ exams, they're very afraid of bringing magnets near hard drives or magnetic tools, which always makes me laugh because there's a giant magnet here, and the magnetic field it would take to damage data on this disk is absolutely intense. Now, not to say a cycling magnetic field is a different thing, but a static magnetic field from a screwdriver, it's not even a concern. So anybody who tells you not to use a magnetic screwdriver near a hard drive, please do me a favor and slap them. Okay, so that's the voice coil assembly that runs the heads across the platters. You see, it's just a series of wires inside that little bit of plastic. Here's the permanent magnet, which, by the way, is very strong, so be careful if you disassemble one of these, because anything metal will pop to it quite quickly, and if you get both magnets out, which I will here in a second, you can actually injure yourself or hurt your finger, so be careful. These make great little magnets to play with, though, so if you're looking for a very strong permanent magnet and you have an old hard drive sitting around, rip it out. Have a good time. Anyhow, this head is mounted like this, and every now and then these bearings will wear out as a point of failure as well. You can see on this disc there's no physical damage. Now, the older hard drives, modern ones as well, you have this park zone, and you can actually feel it lock in place almost mechanically. It's a magnetic. The reason that you have it lock over here is when the hard drive is not in use, it'll normally, as it spins down, it'll just kind of spin down on its own and move in towards the inside track here. That's being parked. So there's not really any data in that bit right there. And when you have a laptop hard drive, if it's running like this, spinning back and forth, and you're using the laptop, and then you move real quick, it'll park. So if you have a Mac and you've noticed a clicking noise, that's what that is. And that prevents the hard drive from being damaged, because if the heads crash over here, well, then the potential of loss of data is much higher, or much less. That would be bad if it's higher. But yeah, this is a little head guy spinning around. So we'll pull this apart some more, and I'll show you the underside of the platters, and also the spacer in there, which is kind of cool to get to. And we'll pull the heads off, and I'll show you how to de-dock these. It's actually quite easy. You take out this little bit of plastic here, and you can see the stop, the little mechanical stop it's hitting. So you take out this little stop here, and you can swing the heads all the way into this little area here, and that'll let you remove the platters without any scratching of the surface, which is what you want. Especially if you had data on this drive that you wanted. But like I said, there's other videos on YouTube that will describe in much more detail for a much more advanced user how to disassemble a hard drive like this and reassemble it or move the platters and transplant platters to a like model hard drive, which is always iffy because there's a lot of details on that. But anyhow, this process is just for fun. So if you are watching this thinking, wow, this guy's not getting into a lot of detail or he's screwing up a lot, this is made for people who've never seen inside a hard drive, so give me some leniency here. Okay, so I have loosened all the screws. You can see right there where I touched the hard drive platters. without cotton gloves or gloves of any sort, it's actually very hard to do this without touching the platters. So once again, if you're thinking about taking your hard drive apart to get data off of it, just remember you might want to practice a couple times because it's extremely hard to pull a hard drive apart without damaging it. See, now we can just swing the heads right off. Now, I just killed it, by the way, when I did that. So they're actually supposed to be spaced with a bit of paper or something between them. When it hit that, that just actually destroyed the head. So if this hard drive had any chance of working, it's gone now. So we're going to just pull this thing off. And it should come right up. And if I'd unscrewed the bits over there, we could do something with it, but I'm just going to roll it over here for now because we don't care about the heads at this very moment in time. And I'm just going to pick off these screws one at a time, which, by the way, is really hard on camera because I have no depth perception for that. So pull off all the screws here, and these screws are, I think these are T7. Most of the drive was assembled with a T8, so one step down, which is, if you have a Mac, T6 is pretty much what they use on everything. So just pull that off. Okay, and so you can see now it just kind of rests. Sorry, getting stuck on the magnet here. Kind of rests in there, and it's going to be hard for me to pull the platters out, so I don't care. I'm just going to do this. And look at that. Isn't that nice? Look at that shiny platter. So both sides are quite clean. And yes, I'm using a Droid Bionic, if you just noticed that. So pull the platter out, and I'll lay that aside for now. And you look, what you're left with now is the little stepper motor deal. So you've got little stepper motor here. You got spins at precisely, on this drive was probably 7,200 RPM, and keeps that in constant rotational synchronization with the heads here. And these guys, which I don't care about, so I'm just going to, here, hold on a second, I don't feel like stopping the camera again. Rip that off, okay. So anyhow, that's broken now for sure. This, you can see the head assembly here, very thin, read-write on top and bottom. And there's a voice coil in the back that actuates it back and forth. This set's kind of like on a sleeve bearing, this little column here, and that'll last almost a lifetime. So if you wanted to get both magnets out, this would be the time to do it. You can pull it off right there. But as far as hard drive destruction, something interesting. Depending upon the hard drive material, this one may actually be glass. It's hard to tell if I can score it with a score, which I don't have sitting here with me, but sometimes these platters are actually made of like a glass material, and you can actually heat it and then drop it in ice water, and it will completely shatter the drive. And something neat, if your physics teacher has taught you about magnetism, anytime you heat a metal to redness, you pretty much destroy the magnetic alignment. So if you heat something that has magnetic storage, say this platter, heat this platter to redness with a torch, good luck recovering data. And somebody's going to post on here saying, well, you could do, no, you can't, good luck. I mean, it'd be cost prohibitive for anybody to do it. So if you're really wanting to destroy data, you can heat the hard drive platters to redness with a torch. That's a very good way to destroy magnetic data. Anyhow, so now you're left with this case, which is sort of pointless, and you have a shiny platter. Oh, and also this little bit. I mentioned I was going to try to find a spacer, but unfortunately this drive, being so small, I only had one platter. Sometimes, if you have multiple platters in the drive, they'll be like 3 or 4 stacked, possibly more, and you'll see a spacer between each one. And you can keep those. They're kind of cool looking little aluminum rings. Whole reason for doing this, just for entertainment. But back here, get some nice Torx screws of varying sizes. And yeah, that's it. So anyhow, that's the insides of a